what would you say to an aspiring musician or a musician who's looking to get into remote recording, besides obviously signing up for your course?
Of course.
Yeah, plug. We've done well to get this far without plugging it. But no, I mean, like, you know, as you say, the content that both you and I put out there, it's very different content, but essentially it's always to try and help someone. So what would you kind of say, obviously besides signing up for the course, what would you say to somebody looking to get into remote recording? What would you kind of say as a sort of 2 best bits of advice you would give?
I would say experiment first of all, in terms of like not just finding clients and stuff. Experiment with your sound.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter what instrument you're playing, like just create a sound that you love, because you know I'm here, I've got 16 channels of audio in this studio and I love the sound of it because it's the kind of sound that I love. But if you have one microphone that's a USB mic that costs 40 quid that you plug into your laptop, if you can make that sound like you, if that makes sense, and it doesn't need to be some hi-fi experience, it's amazing. It can be really gritty. And maybe you use some like crazy effects on it or whatever it is. Just make it you. Make this a sort of a creative experience, because there might be people that will hear that and go, "That's the sound. That's what I want." And like, I want that person on my recording. So I think just experiment, see what you enjoy, own it. Don't try and be like everyone else. Just realize you're on your own path, and also be open to a different idea to what you thought your business was going to be. Because, like I said, I thought I was going to be either working with like the conveyor belt thing that I was talking about, where it's literally just order online and you get your track the next day. I also thought I would just be working with, like, my ideal was to be working with producers, so I work with 3 or 4 producers who each have 10 artists that they're working with, and I'm the one supplying the drums. Actually, no, it hasn't ended up like that, and do you know what, I'm really glad, because I get to have these wonderful personal one-on-one relationships, but that was not in my vision when I started. So I think to be able to be flexible and don't be afraid to just explore the different possibilities, and then that also goes for things like social media. I think if you can get into social media, I know a lot of people are very against it for various reasons, but if you can utilize that, it's a very powerful tool. It really is. I hate it when people say that, but it is a powerful tool.
You can fight it as much as you want, but it's just a fact, isn't it?
It is, and at the end of the day, it's music, so you need to connect with people, because that's what music is about. It's about connection, like on whatever like level you look at it. So what it would make sense, therefore, to follow that through within your business. So try and make connection kind of the focal point of your business. It's not about how many people you have, it's about the quality of those people and those friendships that you cultivate. So I'd say that. I'm pretty sure that's like 7 tips. So, was that, or was that just one? I don't know. I'm so sorry, I have a ramble.
No, that's fine. You've just pretty much you've condensed the 2 hours of your course into 3 minutes.
3 sentences,
We've got a couple of questions here which I'll read out.
Great.
One from Phil Bell, who is a drummer. He says he's a good friend of mine actually as well. What amount of mixing do you do to your drums before sending stems back to your client? Do you leave them raw, or do you add any EQ, compression, etc.?
So in terms of that, I add a tiny bit of EQ on different channels just to bring out the microphone and the drum, because otherwise, if it's flat, sometimes it can sound a bit weird. But other than that, completely raw, no compression. And the reason is, for me, I don't have enough knowledge about compression and EQ and various other sort of things that you can do to audio. To, like, if I actually did all that stuff, it would lower the quality of what I'm sending out. So I would much rather send it to someone who is then going to use a producer who will professionally mix it and, you know, use all those tools to make it sound incredible, because I know that I can't do that yet. I'm working on it, and maybe at some point I will be able to do that, but right now I just try and send the most high quality raw files, which I know that that's the best product that I can give to my clients right now. But like I say, I'm working on it, so who knows, in a year's time I might be there all bells and whistles.
Forget EQ, it's all about compression. Exactly.
It's fine. But I'm always always learning. That's the point. I'm
Again,
always learning.
but again, I think that's another thing you would, not just in sort of remote record, but in business, always learn. Do you know what I mean? Like
Always.
you can, if those who are frightened or against constantly learning are just going to get left behind. You know what I mean?
Yeah, it's so true. And it's funny you say about we all have those friends that are kind of the Dell boys. Oh, I've got a great idea.
Yeah,
I
yeah.
can't do anything.
In a year's
often,
time.
yeah, but literally the first thing that I always ask them is, oh, so have you read any good business books recently? And I swear to you, more often than not, it's, oh no, what?
Yeah,
no,
yeah.
I've never read a business book, or I've never listened to a podcast, or I've
Yeah.
never, none of that. And I'm like, I am obsessed
Yeah,
with
yeah.
listening to audiobooks, podcasts, like what are people doing? It's just so fascinating to me. Like it's a really interesting thing. So I can't understand, but I do wonder whether there's a correlation between people that are stuck in the one thing that they learned 10 years, 20 years ago and just keep doing that but not moving with the times versus the people who are like, try this, do that. What was a really good book I read recently? Oh, do you know Rob Moore? Do you know him? English author. He did a book called I'm Worth More.
Right.
And awful title, can I just say, because it makes it sound really like money orientated.
Yeah.
It's not at all.
Okay.
It's this incredible business book about like just utilizing stuff that's happening now. But not only that, he talks about like the mental side of it, which sometimes a lot of books don't really go into. It's like business.
Yeah.
But actually, the mental side of it is a massive part of it because you need to see things in the right way before you can even think about like tackling them. Otherwise you just end up I don't know, falling on your face. So it's just really interesting. But I'm always into reading new books and seeing what's about and all that.
No, well, you've got to, again, like I say, you've got to, there's no point in being stagnant. If you can learn something new that can help you or someone else, then happy days. We've got another question from Dan Hardy. Right, how do you combat the lack of live input from others, such as bandmates, other engineers, etc.? I sometimes struggle with becoming deaf to the progress I'm making, and have to go away and come back regularly with a fresh set of ears. So, how do you combat the lack of sort of creative input from people in the room versus just doing it over an email or?
Yeah, so weirdly, it suits me down to the ground. What it means is I'm very much the person, and I'm like this live as well. So every song, let's not say every song, pretty much every song that I ever play live or I ever record, I like to either absolutely know what the story is behind that song, or I listen to the lyrics and I make up my own story around it. But what I then do is I plug in my own life experience to that. Now, sometimes what that means is like yesterday, for instance, I probably didn't show it very much, but for some reason, the chorus of that song just made me so angry, but in a really cool way. Really, like, I just felt aggressive when I was listening to it. And what you probably didn't see is when I was in the studio recording it, on that last take, I was just like, I was angry. I was so angry, but it's what the song needed. So, and the brilliant thing about this is that I am at home. I can get into whatever kind of state that I need to be in, even if it's down to the kind of clothes that I'm wearing, which sounds ridiculous.
No,
it's
it
true.
Makes sense. Yeah.
Like, so the other day I was doing a song, it was a charity song for a Brian Ferry tribute, and we were doing a version of Stick Together. Right. So I actually put on one of the outfits that I used to wear on stage with Brian.
But it gets it in the mindset, yeah.
Exactly, but it got me there, and I was like, cool, that's great. So for me, it works super well because I can have my own process that I've developed. I didn't have this at first, but I now have my own process where, because there's no one here, aside from on the live streaming, obviously there's people there, in the room, as it were. Because I'm here by myself, I can be honest about who I am as I'm playing, rather than trying to be this kind of person that a producer is interacting with, or there's a lot of other elements that go into the fact that if the artist is in the room, that's a completely different dynamic to versus just the producer versus just me by myself with an email and some references and me going, cool, right, I know what I want to bring to this, like pure emotion, and a pure drum part is how I feel.
Yeah.
And then we can go from there. If I then send it back and the artist is like, actually, no, I wanted something more like this, it's like, cool, all right, we'll do that. And then I'll change how I'm sort of like seeing it and feeling it. So for me, it actually works really well, but it is a very different thing. I think if you're in a band, there is something beautiful about being in the room together, because obviously you need that collaboration. It is what being a band is. But if you're a session musician, essentially you're a hired gun. You're there to do a job, and you've got to put in the right kind of emotion and energy. You know, I'm not there going, excuse me, I need to be a featured artist and I need a 4-bar drum solo in the middle 8. And you know, I'm not that person. I'm like, right, what does the song need? I'm going to do that. That's my baseline.